Listening to The Combine with former sports TV broadcaster Damon Darrensburg, sports gurus Terrence Davis and Will Bryant, and former NFL defensive tackle Marlon Big Bay Favorite. The Combine is a BAMM network production.
I'm your host, Will Bryant, sitting in again for Damon Darrensburg. I'm joined, as always, by Coach T. Coach T, how you doing tonight?
Feeling good.
And sitting in tonight for our guy, Marlon Favorite, good friend of mine, Mr. Lance Lashardy. Lance, welcome aboard.
Pleasure to be here, Will.
Thank you very much for being here, boys. Not much to talk about this week, huh? Not much happened over the weekend?
Too much.
Too much. Let's get right into it then. Saints, Seahawks. A lot of people didn't expect them to go on the road and get that W. I didn't expect it, but those guys came out and played hard. You got Bridgewater did his thing. Your thoughts?
Feed Kamara. If you feed Alvin Kamara, good things will happen.
And we talked about this. Lance, you missed it. We had this conversation a couple of weeks ago where we listed our top 5 running backs. And Coach T said Kamara's his top back in the league. And I said, well, I need to see more. I said I need to see more. But 16 touches in the backfield, 9 catches. He was impressive. Lance, your thoughts?
Well, you know, Will, after Peyton signs the 5-year extension, I've always felt he's the best offensive game planner in the game. That shows me everybody's doom and gloom with life after Drew Brees, but we may have a heartbeat. Sean Payton can game plan. And I said it all week, whether it be with Teddy Bridgewater or whoever, if he likes Teddy, keep Teddy. He'll game plan, he'll score points.
And the one thing he did, he came out a little gamesmanship leading up to it, saying, hey, we might have to do. You have to prepare for Taysom Hill. You got to prepare for Teddy. Not sure. We knew all along it was going to be Teddy getting the bulk of the snaps, right? So your thoughts on how Teddy played?
I think Teddy did a great job at managing the game. He didn't try to press. He didn't try to do anything, outside of the box. He simply managed the ball game, and I think that's all you want out of him. When you have the type of weapons that you have, simply just get the ball to your playmakers and let your playmakers make plays.
Managing the game is always a bad stigma to place on a quarterback, and I don't like it too much. I want to see the ball pressed down the field a little bit. He looked a little apprehensive about going down the field, so I think that was.
Game 1 as a starter, I don't think you press him. I think game 1 as a starter, you kind of let him get his feel. We talked about that. He finally probably took all of the reps during the week, so he started getting the timing down. And I think, over time, week 2, you'll probably see a little bit more pressing. And week 3, I think at that point, you let him go.
Lance, Kamara out the backfield, 9 catches. It was a lot of chucking and ducking for Teddy. When he went downfield, it wasn't aggressively down the field. He's got a big arm injury. You got to take advantage of that. He didn't. But overall, your coach...
That's the Saints offense. My coach is going to set us up to score points. And Seattle's not a team you got to score 50 against. You just got to score 25 and hope they don't. The Saints don't have to be the Saints against Seattle. You just got to score enough points to beat them.
You scored 33.
Which is impressive.
Very
2
impressive.
defensive touchdowns.
I was going to say, the defensive touchdown. Finally, you got one of those to go in your favor. You get a special teams touchdown, which that was a matter of time, right? Deontay Harris is going to run back a kick or 2, but he's a rookie. He's going to drop a couple as well, which he did later in the game. So you're going to have to live and die with that. And they put Ted Ginn back there immediately after that, to which I'm like, let the young fella get through it. Let him work through it. Sean has no patience for that. He's from Parcells. They don't play with that. So defensively, very, very impressed with the defensive unit. There's a couple of little issues, though, where we're going to talk about as it relates to next week's game. Your secondary and your linebackers. I'm just seeing, I don't want to say if it's mismatches, I don't know what exactly it is, but your thoughts on your defensive performance?
Well, I thought for the first time I've ever seen, Marcus Williams showed better ball skills this game than he ever has. On the interception or whatever, I don't know why. Our linebackers seem to miss gaps occasionally, but the defensive line's what has to carry us. They have to carry us. That's the difference between Sean Payton and Bill Belichick. Sean Payton's a great offensive game planner. Bill Belichick can do the whole thing, and Dennis Allen's right there, but you're just not the next level when it comes to scheming. But I did like what I've seen out of Marcus Williams this game.
T?
I need to echo his sentiment. With that coming in, I think in order for us to contain that, we have to make sure that we're getting nonstop pressure. We can't let him just drop back in the pocket and throw, and then we can't allow him, if the pocket seems to start collapsing, to take off.
And we've had success in the last couple of weeks against Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson of getting pressure to them. Where our breakdown is, Anzalone, who's out for the year a couple of times against Deshaun, took the wrong gap and he had a big run.
And that's two of the worst offensive lines you're going to find, though. This week, you're going to get probably the best offensive line in football. So Deshaun's been getting beat up all year. Russell runs for his life all game as well. Now it changes a little bit. The thing I'm going to be looking forward to more than anything is to watch the game, the Eli Apple matchup, and the Anzalone or the Klein matchup in the slot. So Kellen Moore, who's first year offensive coordinator for the Cowboys, third game, going to his fourth game, he's been impressive so far. Moving around, different lineups, different setups or whatever, motions. I watched Cowboys all my life. I've never seen this. It's very impressive. You can't hide Eli Apple. And Cooper is playing well. The Dallas receiving corps is playing well. What do you see happening Sunday night?
I think we're going to have to probably do some cover two and get some help. Get some help for him. The linebackers are going to step up big because once you start getting the help in the secondary, that means that they're going to have to make sure if Zeke decides that he wants to peek his head out of the backfield, that somebody's there to run toe-to-toe and account for him.
That's sort of my thing. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Do I go 8 in the box? Do I fake it? Do I disguise it a little bit? Dax, he's not a rookie, but again, you can still confuse him a little bit, right? So,
and I would rather err with the running back who may pick up 10 additional yards, after the carry than the wide receiver who's going to hit us for 30 yards down the field.
Right.
I think Lattimore's the key. Lattimore has to shut down somebody so we can bracket the other side.
So you're going the Belichick route. So the Belichick route is I'm going to take away what you do best and then not worry about the rest of it. So if I've got a Lattimore guy, somebody like that, a shutdown, he's just with Revis and his different guys, I'm taking that guy away. You other guys are going to have to beat me. That's the approach you're going to take.
I think you have to. I think Dallas presents a big problem, like you're saying. The running game, the receivers, the tight end's what scares me.
The tight end, Jason Witten, 78-year-old Jason Witten scares you? Really? Coming out the boot, that's what scared you, really? You run faster than Jason Witten.
We get killed by tight ends. You say Klein?
I do. I know. I'm messing with you. Lance and I have these conversations every morning, so I kind of know his answers before he says anything. But no, you're absolutely right. Y'all do get killed by him. All right, so good week for the Saints. Big time win. The elation in the locker room afterwards. Teddy getting the game ball. Very emotional. That was a really good scene. Happy for the kid for all he's been through. As a Cowboys fan, I hope he doesn't do it again this week. But, again, I root for good stories, and that guy's a good story, so I'm happy for him. So kudos to the Saints for that. Moving on. LSU just goes to Nashville. We said the 11 o'clock kickoff would be a slow start for them, right? They dropped 66 like it's nothing. Like it was candy. It was ridiculous. Give it to me. What you got?
Offense is exciting. Remember a couple of weeks ago we were talking about, is this offense gonna live up to the billing? It is definitely living up to the billing. My biggest concern for LSU right now is that the injury bug has really been devastating on defense. The good thing is, you got Utah State, so there's enough time. You got bye week, so there's enough time for them to heal before we get into SEC play. So kudos to whoever put the schedule together because it's really playing into LSU's favor so that we can get some people back healthy, especially those defensive linemen, get them back healthy.
And I know you didn't watch one snap of it, but you know
what I saw in the highlights, Will, and this pains me to say, Joe Burrow is accurate.
Yes.
You can't coach accuracy. He's accurate. I will warn, though, they're running a Big 12 offense, and their defense looks like a Big 12 defense. I'm just of the opinion, if you run a wide-open offense, your defense is going to give up a lot of points. When you get to SEC play, is Auburn going to be able to Auburn, who I didn't think was a great team, and I think LSU is better than them, are they going to be able? Is it going to be a close game? Are they going to be able to keep it close by running the ball? Because it looks like LSU's turned into Texas or Oklahoma.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you this: they've been putting in a lot of players to get rotation and get depth in the midst of these injuries. I was really impressed with the defensive backs, and so Stingley is showing me things.
Seriously, he's a freshman.
And so like I said, so by the time we get into the meat of the season, and they've gotten that experience under them, they're gelled on how to play together. I think the defense will be okay. I think it's that time of taking all these new young players and putting them there together so that they can get an understanding of where we're supposed to be, who's supposed to be covering for who's supposed to be supporting who, and so forth.
I'm agreeing with Lance 100% on that because we've seen that happen as it relates to the offense and what are you practicing against every day? So you're going against that every day, and it sort of mimics, and then it becomes your defense. David Aranda's the highest paid defensive coordinator in the country. That can't happen on his watch. He can't be giving up 30 anything to Vanderbilt. I'm sorry. That's inexcusable. It is. Texas.
With that secondary.
That's an
NFL secondary.
Without a doubt. Right now, out of bed, Delpit and Fulton and Stingley, that's NFL secondary talent back there. And that cannot happen. So I'm a little concerned. I am. I'm very concerned.
But I don't think that happens when you have Lawrence back up front and Doman back up front, and you got those monsters up front. I don't.
I just think the reason the SEC's always been nobody in the SEC runs that offense. They play a different style, and part of that style is to complement the defense. When the Saints go a quick 3 and out, whether Drew's there or Teddy or whoever's the quarter, they go a quick 3 and out. The defense is on the ropes. When Kamara gets the first downs, or when Ingram last year, when we could establish a run, our defense was in the top half. So I just think they go hand in hand.
I agree. I'm sorry.
I like to see it.
I know we're going to see it, absolutely. But we called the Vanderbilt game. We figured that LSU would name their own number.
But I'll pose this question. So would we rather the offense that LSU used to have?
Whoa. No. The 3 yards
Which allows
no, we're good. No. We'll take this. We'll shoot out somebody if we have to, but
wait until let's wait and see. After they play Florida, Auburn, Alabama, Texas A&M, then we'll see.
You
might be begging for the old one.
All right, moving uptown. Tulane Green Wave. LSU did what we thought they would do. Tulane kind of shook up the system a little bit. We talked about it. We talked about the Auburn game, how they didn't look scared. They punched Auburn in the mouth, took their best shot. A play here or there, that could have been a different outcome. They come out here, first play of the game, 75 yards to the house for Houston, and you're thinking, oh crap, here we go, 14-0. Okay. Then they chip their way back in, win in dramatic fashion. Very, very impressive. For the Tulane alum, he and I were sitting together at the game, high-fiving each other, going crazy. Your thoughts, Lance?
Well, we talked about this. Last year, they're going into the Houston game, and they thought it was a turn-the-corner kind of game. And I watched it on TV, and Houston was bigger, stronger, faster, and I'm like, we're not ready for them yet. I was wondering if we caught up. After the first half, I looked at you at halftime. They were bigger, stronger, faster, and I'm like, Will, we're only losing by 14. We should be losing by 40. We might have a chance. This might be one of those days.
Yep.
And Coach Fritz, to his credit, look, I was in the first half, I'm like, what's he doing? Get rid of this one double-A coach. At halftime, he made, I don't know how you catch up with speed and size at halftime, but all of a sudden, Houston wasn't bigger and faster. I don't understand it.
Last week, Will, you talked about the pressure of this game. Going in, being the favorite at home.
National TV.
And you know what? I think I have to agree with you that I saw early on that maybe the pressure kind of was holding them back.
The nerves.
And then I think by the time they got to halftime, they were able to get a little bit settled. They had seen all that they needed to see, and they realized, okay, we can play with these guys. We can beat these guys.
Offensively, we said they can do whatever they want to do offensively. We weren't worried about that. Defensively, we weren't sure just because of that. Bigger, faster, stronger. Bigger, faster, stronger. Touching on Houston real quick. Big news from them. Out of their starting quarterback and starting wide receiver, both have decided to redshirt the rest of the season. The new NCAA rule, after 4 games, you can redshirt or sit out the rest of the season, whatever, and then be allowed to transfer. I don't like the rule. It's sending a bad message to kids, but okay, it is what it is. These guys taking advantage of it.
But this situation is different from the other situation, because these guys are talking about sitting out, staying to play there again next year. So this is almost like a tanking.
That's what the kid said. That's not what the dad said.
Yeah,
the dad said we're going to
open for business.
Okay. So I don't know if the kid and the dad had a chance to talk to one another or not before the kid said that, because you don't do that if you're not planning to leave. You just don't. So I'm like, I don't get it. I don't like it. The message it sends is creepy to me, but Lance.
I just, that red shirt decision up to for the kid to say I'm red shirting, that's Jalen Hurts should have. Look at the class that kid showed last year. He knew if he wasn't a starter. He went in for mop-up duty every game, lost a season. Now he's at Oklahoma tearing it up.
Right.
You know, that's what you worry about. For the kid to say I'm redshirting, I would have rather be, if they truly are going to stay at Houston, for the coach and them to get together and say, look, we're going to work hard, we're going to practice. 1-3 when we thought we were going to be 3-1 against ranked teams, and we're not.
And again, we went through their schedule. You opened the season against Oklahoma. You weren't winning that no matter what. Week 2, Washington State. You weren't winning that no matter. You're not going up to Pullman and winning that game. You beat a cupcake, and then you come here and you lose on the last second miracle play or whatever. I mean, you're not that bad. And you've got athletes, you've got talent, you've got facilities. Fertitta's putting money into the program. To me, it just reeks of, hey, we're 1-3, not going the way I wanted it to go. I'm out, taking my ball and going home. That's the mentality of these kids today, and it's just it's aggravating as heck, though. And you were with these, you've been around these kids much more than I have. So.
And that's that. I call it the I generation. You know, it's about me, and so it's not about the fact that you're the quarterback, you're the leader of this team that has 7, 8 more games to play this season, but because it's not lining up the way that you need it to line up for yourself, that you say, forget the team, I'm going to go ahead and redshirt.
You know, Coach, I want to ask you, you dealt with these young men recently, a lot of scholarship athletes. How does this affect recruiting? What do you, if you had players and you were advising them, do you send them to Houston? With this going on over there, I know it's you don't know everything about it, but
I think at this particular point that it's kind of going on across the nation. I mean, you see what's happening at Tennessee right now, and so it's because that once you created that transfer portal, and you told players that if you play less than 4 games or less that you can redshirt. You kind of opened up the window of opportunity.
And then you see what Justin Fields is doing. You see what different guys are doing across the country. You're like, well, what the heck? If things aren't going right for me in 4 games, I'm out. Terrible message. I don't like it, but we'll deal with that accordingly. So back to Tulane. They get the bye. Then they hit the road to Army.
Good week to have a bye.
Exactly. That's where I was going to go. So Lance, that's what I want you to touch on. Why is this a good week for the Wave to have the bye?
Because they're facing a non-traditional offense, and they're actually going to face 2 of them in the next 4 weeks between Army and Navy. So the schedule laid out pretty good for Tulane. I expect them to be 2-2. I really wrote the Houston thing off even before the game. So that's a great win. You're going into October 3-1, and that's what we looked at, Will. You got Army, UConn, who's not very good, Memphis, who's pretty good, and Navy. But it's a winnable month. You go 3-1, 4-0. Then you expect to get over 20,000 human closer to capacity. And it's, from what I've seen, you should be as good as these teams. Physically able to compete with those teams. So
I had a chance to watch Army against Michigan, and I was really impressed with, they're very one-dimensional.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what you're getting. We're gonna hand it off. We're gonna run the option. We're gonna every now and then try to pass.
Coach,
when they try to pass,
the problem.
bad things happen. So what you want to do, Tulane, is force them in a situation that they need to pass, because when they pass, bad things happen.
And even worse things happen when they try to pass and be cute. When you don't have to pass, let's go play action now. What are you doing? For what?
Was that last year? We were here 2 years. So Tulane's playing Army here, and our governor, John Bell Edwards, graduated from Army. So they got a crew of them in the club, and Army makes a first band, and they started singing. And so, look, governor or not, in my club, I was getting a little hot. So we're waiting. And Army's driving. Basically, they go in and take the lead, 4th quarter, and they threw the 3rd pass of the game. The first 2 were incomplete.
Yes.
This one's intercepted. Yeah. So I got to turn around and say, I hope y'all war playing better than your game plan. if we do this in war, we in trouble.
True story.
State troopers were swarming.
Everybody's there. Like Secret Service, everybody's around.
So I hope Army passes more than 3 times.
We hope
they did that against Michigan, if I'm right.
They passed, I think 2 times, picked off, and then at the end of the game, dropped back to pass and fumbled, and that's how they lost the game.
All right, we're going to take our first time out. When we come back, we got more to talk about, including high school football for the upcoming week here on The Combine.
The Combine is a BAMM network production. You're listening to The Combine with former sports TV broadcaster Damon Darensburg, sports gurus Terrence Davis and Will Bryant, and former NFL defensive tackle Marlon Big Bay Favorite. The Combine is a BAMM network production.
Welcome back to the Combine. When we left, we were discussing Tulane, and now we're going to segue our way over to high school football. Big weekend of prep action going on, Coach T. What you got for us?
So I'm going to start off by recapping last weekend. Edna Carr and Warren Easton started off really looking like it was the sequel to the state championship game. Easton jumps out 12-0 lead, and then Carr comes back and scores 38 unanswered to win it.
38 unanswered.
38 unanswered to win it. So the Carr Cougars are looking good. They're looking formidable. John Curtis had a chance to go see them against Landry Walker. Funny part about this, John Curtis really didn't play their best football, and won 72 to 12. Threw the ball a lot. So that was interesting.
That's insulting. That's insulting. Now you're playing with me.
New dimension that they're adding to their game. But we got some big ones this week. We got Country Day versus Newman, Ivietta versus Manning. Mm-hmm. We got Edna Carr going up to Baton Rouge to take on Catholic. So that should be a good one. Mm-hmm. Meet versus De La Salle.
There we go.
St. Aug versus Curtis. So that should be a good one. And then we got one of our traditional rivalries, Jesuit versus Brother Martin. So looking forward to a good week of prep football.
All right, a couple of things there. So De La Salle coming off of a tough triple overtime loss to St. Charles Catholic. Mm-hmm. Tough loss. Now they got to get themselves back up for homecoming against A-Meet. Lance, you coach kids, you're dealing with kids, and how difficult is that? We're dealing with 15, 16, 17-year-old kids, all right? You just played a tough ball game against St. Charles. Now you got to turn back around, and you had high expectations. This team, I talked to folks at De La Salle, they thought this was their year to make their run. What do you do to get these kids back up again for the next week?
Well, you hope they have short memories, but they're high school kids. I see college coaches struggling to do it. You try and put them in their comfort zone as much as possible. You try and let them know nothing's lost. They all in the playoffs. This is just a way to get there. Maybe their season's going to be a little different, but the goal's still there. They're in the playoffs. Relax and try and get back to normal De La Salle Cavalier football the last few years where they were really good.
And I think that's the good thing about high school. No transfer portal.
Yeah.
And
well, Coach, I don't know.
Hold on. You want me to drop a new name for you? Hold on. Rummels quarterback.
That's at the end of the year. Bona fide move.
Bona fide move.
And so forth. And there's an inclusive playoff system. And so you know that, okay, I have another life after this.
You like
season
that.
Is over.
You like the way that's set up.
Oh, definitely. I think you got to have, just having playoffs, whereas college, you're looking at, 4 teams make it to the playoffs.
Shouldn't you have to earn your way in, though?
Yeah, but I'm saying,
you have to win your way in.
But I think that's what happens at high school. So at high school, the mindset is even though we may lose, matter of fact, the year we won the state championship at Landry Walker, we lost the first 3 games. Who remembers? Mm-hmm. No one remembers that started off 0-3.
But to Lance's point, everybody makes the playoffs.
Well, Will, he's coming from the non-select where not everyone makes it.
The playoffs.
Okay.
A lot of some bad teams don't make it.
My bad.
Only in Division 1 with Cali schools that everybody makes the playoffs. When you're talking about the non-select, the non-select, you got to earn your.
It's still a lot more teams. It used to be you had to win your district or come in second place. There wasn't even They had state championship teams that never even made the playoffs.
So that's where we're coming from.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We're Catholic Leagues growing up. We're bookending you right now. So my bad on that.
No. So on the non-select side, it's still that traditional. You got to earn your way, and then you got to play 5 weeks to make it to the dome. So the select side. Some teams play 2 because some teams
two
get
to get to the dome.
Yeah, two to get to the dome.
That's illegal. All right.
And now they're not getting to the dome this year. That's something I don't know if y'all touched on. The select schools had the choice to play in the dome or not, and they chose to not play in the dome. So a lot of people around the city are looking. I mean, college Tulane, I heard, is looking. Southeastern, ULL are saying, hey, come play here, come play here. They are not going. The select schools chose not to have a combined state championship.
They're combined. Okay, I did hear about that.
So they get to pick their own sites. They gave them that option last year.
Okay, so at what point are they going to realize December is when these games are going to be played, right? These championship games.
And I think
Outside?
And
December
I think you do a disservice to high school. So if for the Division I championships, which are traditionally played at the Superdome. So if Curtis ends up in the Division I championship, they could be playing at Louisiana Tech instead of the Superdome.
Right.
You
don't grow up saying I want to go play the state championship in Hammond.
With the select schools choosing, they're going to pick. I would think it's going to end up in Death Valley, right?
No, help me. Why?
Because that's the venue that they're going to all want. Look, I wish they all want to go. Yeoman's not a bad second choice. Yeoman's a great stadium to watch a football game in. But Curtis ought to be thrilled it's outdoors. What if they're playing a passing team? And to Will's point, it's cold, it's December, it's raining, it's outdoors. Curtis is going to run it down your throat.
Absolutely, no matter what. They're the outlier here. But you don't want the elements to come into play for championship football. That's the thing. That's why the Super Bowl is not held in Chicago. There's a reason. I mean, you don't want that to even be a factor.
It's the Superdome. It's the place where
again we grew up wanting to do that.
Where it's special to me that
to
I
go
get
to the
play
dome.
in the Louisiana Superdome.
Bring it home in the dome.
Superdome.
I don't like that.
The road to the dome.
So back to you. You mentioned Holy Cross. They've got Shaw. Should be an easy game, but again, next week, the homecoming.
Holy Cross
Jesuit
100th meeting.
100 meeting. Any chance of a look ahead there for the Tigers? Again, we're dealing with kids here. They know what's going on. I mean, Shaw, they should beat Shaw, but again, how do you guard against that?
With these kids, you can't, Will. You just try and get them to focus on today, but they're 16 and 17-year-old kids,
Right.
And Holy Cross, the parents, the student body, Jesuit, they're having meetings because this tailgate. You came last year. I got you to go out there.
Greatest event
It It's crazy. There's 15,000 people tailgating out there.
It's amazing. I'm looking. I've been tailgating, but this is high school, and I'm talking. We're not talking finger sandwiches and cheese trays either. We're talking fried shrimp, fried oysters,
Couche
burgers,
on delay. Rocky's mac and cheese.
Rocky and Carlos mac and cheese, brother. It is a spread. I'm telling you, they get after it, and it was great. So I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait till next week.
I'm looking forward to
it.
it.
Absolutely. But I was just thinking about these kids. I'm like, again, the 100th meeting of the oldest rivalry in the city. I know they can't wait to get to it. You can't have the letdown against Shaw, obviously. But to the point of, if it happens, it happens because we're all going to the dance anyway. It doesn't matter. I don't like that too much, but that's it. What other games we had? Yeah, that was it?
Well, I wanted to hit on Curtis is ranked 12th nationally.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
They got to the top 12, and when we're talking about Army, their quarterback's a phenomenal athlete. Guggenheim, going to Army, plays all three sports, plays tennis, golf. So he's not just three sports. He plays he plays all five sports. Whatever. Yeah. Right. So yeah, Curtis nationally ranked against a St. Aug team that, they got a couple of sleepers on the team. Tyron's little cousin.
So that's what I want to touch on. Is what we haven't. That's later in the year. We want to get to that, but the blue chip prospects we wanted to touch on, the kids that are coming up that on every team that are perennial 4 and 5 star guys.
And I think Ahmad Johnson at Warren Easton is really starting to separate.
Yeah,
I mean, he's really starting to show you that he is definitely the top prospect in the state.
And that's good to see.
Like I said, even against a car team, he got his yards.
We had that conversation. Lance and I would talk about that all the time about Carr getting off the bus. Carr at warm up. This is the speed when Speedy was there. He said he's on the field free. He said catching balls with one hand, just snapping. They all got the Under Armour. They got the composite stuff on. They look like a Division I college team. It's just athletes all over the yard. So that'll be fun to watch.
Coach, you coach at Landry Walker, right? How fast you got to be called Speedy in Algiers? Seriously, everybody.
That's our running game. How fast is Speedy? Well, they call him Speedy, and he's from Algiers. Like they didn't call him.
Either he's real slow,
right?
Or he's fast.
Or we need to go find the other guy.
And he was Speedy since he was little Speedy.
Right. So we were just hoping there was another one that they call really Speedy. So we go find him and get him over to Del Sal. That's what I was hoping for. But yeah, okay. All right, moving on. We got a big fight this weekend. We got Errol Spence and Sean Porter. Welterweight.
Welterweights.
Getting after it. My favorite, 147. You can't beat it. That's it. That's the division. Floyd Mayweather vacated. Manny Pacquiao still beating people up in that division. Your thoughts on the fight, T?
Well, I love the welterweight division as well because I think you actually get to see boxing at its best. It's not a situation where you're seeing two people just meet in the middle of the room and just going toe to toe, but you're going to actually see boxing, you're going to see jabs, you're going to see movement around the ring and so forth. I think Spence, because just height and length, I think he might have the edge. But one of the things that's been funny, I've just been kind of watching the lead up to this fight. And these have been two of the most cordial,
nicest guys
boxers I've ever seen with each other. After the days when they couldn't even be in the same room with each other, and people had to hold them back. But just the things that they've been saying about each other, these have been the two most cordial boxers I've ever seen.
Let's get this bread, man. Ain't no time for all that other stuff. We'll deal with animosity once we get in there. Let's lead up to get there. Let's get this money. Lance, fight game.
Taking the fifth. Well,
I'm out. I like to put it on the T. My part, can you hit it, big fella? No, I like it. And moving forward, so Bud Crawford's out there. Pacquiao's still out there, too.
Pacquiao's still out there.
The winner of this fight is going to be in line to get another big payday somewhere down the line. So it'll be exciting. I can't wait to watch it. I'll definitely be tuning in for it. So where do you see the winner of this fight going? Is there a rematch in play, you think? Or you think the next guy goes on? Because I don't think either one of them want anything to do with Terrence Crawford.
Yeah, I think you always, for money purposes and business purposes, you get the rematch in. Like you say, Pacquiao is still out there. So, this is a good fight to actually have because, with the emergence of UFC, I think, boxing, they need to start getting these marquee matches because you now have UFC is now a competition.
Absolutely. Definitely. Yeah, I'm not a UFC guy. I prefer the sweet science. I want to see that as opposed to your point, just meeting and just beat the heck out of each other with no real skill involved. All right, looking forward to that. Moving on to baseball. It's close to October, so that means it's postseason baseball. My guy Lance and I are both baseball junkies. We have opinions on this all day. But the main thing I want to cover, MVP, American League MVP. Mike Trout's perennial, either one or two the last 4 or 5 years, every year he's been in the league or whatever. But he's been hurt the last 2 weeks of the season, and his team's not in playoff contention. Alex Bregman, local kid from LSU, his team is in playoff contention and is going to the playoffs, and he's put up a record year, 295, 40 home runs at third base, Gold Glove third base as well. Lance and I have gone back and forth in this. Lance, your thoughts, please.
Well, I love Trout.
Yes.
Generational player.
Yes.
And I think there's just a bias against him. Last year, it was Mookie Betts and Mike Trout. The year before, it was Chris Butt and Mike Trout. It's always somebody in Mike Trout, and he's so good that he plays on the West Coast, so he gets taken advantage of. And then a guy like Alex Bregman has a career year. And they say, you know what, he's not going to do it again. I'm a vote for Bregman. But he's still not Mike Trout. I'm voting for Mike Trout. Mike Trout, he's the best.
Okay, wait a minute. No, he's not. It's the Shaquille O'Neal theory right now. It's the Jordan theory right now. Jordan should have been MVP every year.
Yes.
Shaq could have been MVP every year, and they just we're not gonna give it to him. So that's what's gonna happen to Trout this year, is what you're saying. But it's not like Bregman didn't earn it. I mean, he's put up stupid numbers
Every year, it's somebody and Mike Trout. His numbers are good. They're just not quite as good as Mike Trout's.
Okay, so help me out with this one, and this is my big.
And
Mike
he's
Trout
protected in the lineup.
Don't start me on that. Okay, but let's go to Trout. Can we get him out of L.A. or Anaheim or wherever the hell?
He just signed the longest deal.
I know that.
Richest
He
deal.
can still get traded to the Yankees. That means nothing. That's a piece of paper. That means nothing. Can we get a package
Well,
together?
you see my hat? I wish he was with the Yankees.
I know. It's painful to watch because
Well, you can't watch because it starts at 10
because I'm
o'clock at night.
asleep. Exactly. By the time he comes on, I'm asleep. But when he's playing on the road, he's playing somewhere, I can't. It's must-see TV. I can't wait to watch him. And that talks about what we were discussing earlier about weightlifting in baseball and in sports. In football, we know it. Basketball, it's a little bit more fine-tuned, keep your athletic ability. But we talked about as former baseball players. Weightlifting was taboo. Mike Trout, 6'3", 6'4", And he's got those guys. You know what those guys are? That stuff. I don't even the trap
Traps.
things.
Those muscles that some
Traps.
people grow, but we can't.
Some people grow like Mickey Mantle had those things, but he's like lifting hay in off season. It's a little different. This guy's got that. He's flipping tires over and stuff. The baseball players today are huge. The relief pitchers that are coming in the games now, all throwing 98, 99, are huge. Consequently, when huge meets huge, they set records in baseball if our home runs hit.
Yeah.
Now we can say the ball's juice, we can say the bat juice, whatever.
Or the players are juiced.
Or the players are juiced. Or they're just players, they're bigger, they're stronger, and that's it.
Coach hit on that pregame.
Yeah.
Sports performance. I mean, that's the name of it now.
Right.
It's called sports performance. So it's not only, weightlifting and conditioning. They're doing yoga. They're doing all kinds of things, but also nutrition now. Now more than ever, you now understand. Okay, for my body to be efficient and my body to work the way I need to work before the game, I need to have carbohydrates so that my body has the fuel that it needs to. So now it's down to science. I remember back in the days when coaches would treat a water break as if it was some type of treat.
What? And hurry
Now
up.
it's understood the muscles need this amount of water so that they can be efficient. So they have it down to science now, and so now you're seeing probably athletes in all sports, even golf, that are now performing, probably at their all-time best.
So Lance has a son that's a junior at Holy Cross, baseball player, and firsthand the stuff that he goes through and for his getting ready or whatever. Go ahead.
I mean, he works out harder in a week than we did in a year. I mean, and but if you don't, you fall behind. He was going to see Lance Lacoste over at Oshner. Those guys did a great job. But now they got Andy Canizaro at Holy Cross. That I don't know if you've seen him, but he's pretty jacked up. He's got the kids outside running. I mean, back in the day, they were working out harder than the football teams used to. And this is what you hit on. Especially in football and basketball, I think they were ahead of the curve. They were bigger and stronger and faster for a while now. But like Will said, you go to a baseball game, and if you sit close to these guys, they're big. They're linebackers. They're bigger than the Saints. Yasiel Puig is bigger than any linebacker on the Saints team.
Which, perfectly for this, how do you feel about kids playing more than one sport? That's been a big bone of contention now where across society.
I think kids should play multiple sports.
Absolutely.
I'm a firm believer in multiple sports. Like I said, I grew up in an era when, this is New Orleans, where kids played football and marched in the band for Mardi Gras. So, I think you allow a child to have a comprehensive high school experience.
Yes.
So
I agree.
But as a football coach, will you have an all-season workouts in February?
Well, what our football coach was, we had balance. So you would make sure that it was balanced. Most schools now have what's called a weightlifting period or, a football block. Right? So at the fourth block, you literally get your weightlifting and your conditioning out of the way during the off season. So now the kid can go after school to tutoring and any other type of activity they want to be a part of.
Be a kid.
Yeah.
You still have to be a kid. That's remember.
That's a kid.
That's the point I'm getting.
We see these kids working out,
Be a
training,
kid.
running. Football is all summer now.
Yeah.
7-on-7s, workouts, August two-a-days.
And with the mindset now of I'm trying to get a scholarship, and so that mentality is that we used to have the issue of kids who wanted to go work out with training professionals instead of working out with the team, or they started doing part of all-star 7-on-7 teams instead of trying to play with their team for 7-on-7.
And that's where I'm going with this. So the travel ball syndrome now.
Mm-hmm.
So Lance coaches his team with his son and some guys that he grabbed, and basically it's not your normal, give me $5,000 and I'm gonna make your kid a superstar or whatever. He's like, no, we're gonna go play some ball. We're gonna go play against some other folks, get some experience, get some repetitions or whatever. I believe travel ball is just the demise. I mean, it really just drives me because what's the specialized on one sport. Like I can't do anything else. You remember the summers? I'd play a Babe Ruth baseball game. I'd leave that and go play AAU basketball game. And the next night I'd do it all over again and flight. And if you had football, you did that as well. You did them all. You didn't even think about them. You weren't worried about focus on this, focus on that. You're playing ball as a kid. Travel ball the way you see it now, I know why you did your own thing, but please tell everybody.
Well, Coach hit the nail on the head. Before they play their first high school game, they're trying to get their scholarships. in baseball, like some of the kids in football, who was it? Was it Moses, the linebacker at Alabama?
Moses.
Didn't he commit to LSU in 8th grade and
Yes.
then end up flip?
Yes.
And the same thing's happening in baseball now. These kids are not playing a high school game; they're commit to a college. So everybody's signaling right away. You should just go play travel ball. You should just do your showcases because this kid's already got a scholarship and he's never even worn a high school uniform. So, you know, it's the catch. It's the yin and the yang. You want to do that and you want to give your kids that opportunity, but by the same token,
No way.
when does it matter? So if you're really that good when you get to college, are you saying I don't care about college? I'm just worried about the pros. Where does
That's
it?
exactly what you're saying.
Prime example. There was a player who was good at basketball and football. So the veteran basketball coach, who's going to remain nameless, but he has some state championships under his belt, kind of put pressure on the kid, so the kid didn't play football. So the veteran coach retires, moves on, new coach comes in. So it's his senior year. He plays football. He's now in college on a football scholarship.
That's it. It happens all the time. But the thing I hate is when you bottle the kid. The kids. Don't play ball.
Mr. Kirkwood's the best thing that ever happened to the Holy Cross football team. Mr. is great at recruiting 6'2" basketball players that are great wide receivers, and his son's one of them.
His son's one
Little
of them,
talent. I
exactly.
mean, he's got Kevin, Michael Chigbu, Kevin Spears. He's now got Tyler Kirkwood. They all went there as basketball players from Mr.
And then you put them out wide and say, go out for a jump ball and then see what you got. All right, we're going to take our second time out. When we come back, we'll be wrapping things up here on the Combine.
The Combine is a BAMM network production. You're listening to The Combine with former sports TV broadcaster Damon Darensburg, sports gurus Terrence Davis and Will Bryant, and former NFL defensive tackle Marlon Big Bay Favorite. The Combine is a BAMM network production.
Welcome back to The Combine on the BAMM network, talkthatnola.com. We're wrapping things up here. And real quick, we were talking about baseball earlier with my buddy Lance Lashardi, and I just wanted to touch on something to get his opinion on the Chicago Cubs. World Series champions just 3 years ago, 2016. Joe Madden, their manager, managing the last year of his contract, no extension. Rumors are that he's going to be out at the end of the season. I don't get it. The guy's a very good baseball mind, but Lance, your thoughts on this, please.
Will, we've seen it now last year with the Red Sox. You've seen it this year with the Yankees, where major league managers are making $750,000. Their players are making $30,000. Their managers are making $750,000. The front office, the analytics guys are coming down and saying, hey, "This is what you're gonna." The managers get a little bit of leeway, and that's just a sign of the future. I think the general manager and his analytics guy want control in the dugout, and Joe Madden. You know how Joe is. He's not that guy. He wants control. So, it'll be curious to see if they go with the young guy that they can control or Joe Girardi, who's a stubborn Italian.
And that's it. So the analytics now, everything is numbers and everything is, can you play or not? I don't care. But everything is analytic, and you can't argue it because it backs it a little. The wins and everything backs it. But the guy's won. He won at Tampa Bay. He's won everywhere.
Tampa Bay's won without him since then.
And they have won without him, but he built that, though.
Yeah.
He set that foundation up. So the guy can win. He can win anywhere, I think. I just think it's one of those rush to judgments, but more or less it's more, we could probably save a few pennies and put anybody in there and basically guide them around as a puppeteer, and that's where baseball's going. But how long before a manager says, you know what, you think you can do better? You come down here and do it. Because you're doing it anyway.
Well, they're paying a guy $750. I'm sitting in the dugout for $750. What you want? Who you want me to bat? Okay. And I think now it's almost like the Bill Parcells. The general manager's putting his team together, and Joe Madden's not playing the way I want him to.
Yeah. What am I doing wrong? Am I making Chris Bryant slump? Am I the one responsible for that? I don't know. I have a problem with it. T, what you got?
Well, and like you say, everything is now coming down to analytics, and the issue I have with analytics is the same thing about whether it's artificial intelligence or virtual reality, that a human has to program. And the reality is that sports analytics doesn't take into account the emotional being of the athlete. Is the athlete hurting right now? So the numbers might say, on 3rd and 1, you should run this. But if I look at my athlete and I say, on that last play, he looked like he might have twisted or he's been cramping or so forth, then I can't run that.
Right.
And so that's where I think, they keep going to numbers because the numbers say the odds say such and such that you should do this. But because we're still dealing with the human factor, and the humans are emotional beings, humans are physical beings, that I think, coaches and managers still have to go with their gut.
Okay. That makes sense. I was just curious.
The numbers are the easy way out.
It's the easy way out. Exactly.
I like a little. Aaron Boone didn't do anything with numbers. He had guys. Mike Ford, he's 6 foot, 204, looks just like me, playing first base, hitting home runs. He had no business doing that. The Yankees, everybody they called up did great. That had nothing to. If you looked at their numbers, they weren't going to win, but they did. So the human element,
100 wins back to back, and Aaron Boone, did he do anything magical? Did he do anything that Girardi didn't do? No. But it's the way of the world now, and it's something that it's hard to comprehend, because at the end of the day, as athletes, we're like, if you can play, you can play. Give me ballers, whatever. You take your numbers, give me ballers, let's go.
There's a clutch gene. I don't know where it is, but they have it.
Derek Jeter has it. That's where it is. We know where it is. Jeter has it. All right, in closing, as we like to do around here, we like to go off topic a little bit. And this week, we're hearing some rumblings out in D.C. about impeachment. So we don't want to touch politics at all, but what we want to do is translate it to the sports world. Lance, Coach T, if we can impeach someone from the sports world, who would it be?
Well, Lance, on today I would like to start the impeachment process on one Coach Jim Harbaugh of the Michigan Wolverines.
That's a good one.
I think we have been seeing this building up over the years. Just isn't getting any better. And lastly, we live by a certain code here in New Orleans. And one of the things that code is, we really just don't throw shade or talk about other men.
Yeah.
And so Jim has to be relieved of his duties because he decided that he wanted to throw shade at Urban Meyer. And so based on that shade that he threw at Urban Meyer before the season started, and now the struggles he's having during the season, I think it is time that we go ahead and remove him from his position.
Wow, that's strong. Follow that, man.
That was good. That was good. I was going completely opposite. I'm impeaching two people, one in college, one in the pros.
Go.
I'm impeaching Nick Saban and Bill Belichick because it's not fair that they're still coaching. If we get them out their leagues, everything will be better. We get rid of Bill Belichick, somebody else can win the Super Bowl, and if we get rid of Nick Saban, somebody else can win the SEC.
That's good. That's good. Well, wait a minute. That's good.
I said all along, every Power 5 school ought to put up $2 million and pay Nick Saban not to coach.
How about Nick coming out and saying his biggest regret leaving Baton Rouge? Which I would have never left college football. Now, he can say that since the doctors came in and gave their deal on Drew Brees, but if Drew Brees' arm is approved by the Miami doctors, he's not coaching at Alabama. It never happened. It rewrites history, basically. Drew Brees' arm, or the doctor.
Yeah. We could have had Dante Culpepper and Mario Williams, the defensive end,
Yes.
instead of Drew Brees and Reggie Bush.
Without a doubt.
The San Antonio Saints, I wouldn't care about them right now.
that was a reality. That was definitely going to happen. The impeachment thing was good, man. Y'all came out swinging with that one. That's tough, but Belichick and Saban, we would have nothing to talk about, though. We can't get rid of those two guys, right? What we have to talk about? I know who I want to impeach. All right, I can impeach somebody. I want to impeach talking heads. Not us three, but other talking heads who don't know what the hell they're talking about. That's what I want to impeach. I want to impeach the guys that don't study, the guys that don't do their homework or their research, who just sit up there and spit out stuff. Colin Cowherd the other day, he's doing an interview with Urban Meyer, and he says, this Joe Burrow guy, man, how'd you let him get out of Ohio? Urban Meyer's like, we had him for 3 years. I recruited him, brought him in. He transferred to LSU. Oh. Like, dude, do your homework. How you didn't know that?
Did Urban Meyer say Joe Burrow threw like a girl, and then Joe went and worked on it and got better? Right?
It got better. Like, seriously, I'm like, do your homework. Did you not do any studying whatsoever? Like, he had no idea. He's like killing Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer, all right. How'd you let this guy get out of Ohio? We had him for 3 years.
We kind of cut him.
Yeah, he looked at Dwayne Haskins and gone.
Some pretty good guys in front of
He
him.
looked at Haskins and said,
National
I ain't beating
champions.
that. That's it. He looked at Haskins and said, I ain't beating him out. So I gotta go. He's like, but I had him for 3 years. He's like, oh, so that's who I'm impeaching. Talking heads who don't do their homework, don't have the knowledge to keep up with things. So that's what I'm doing. Not like us three. Us three are good. Lance, thank you so much for coming, my man. I appreciate it. I know I dug you out to bed. I know you'd rather be in your recliner right now, but I really, really appreciate you filling in. We plugged in that A-gap good. We got rid of. Big Fave couldn't make it. My boy plugged in the A-gap really good. Coach T, as always, thank you for your input. Next week, hopefully, Damon will be back, and I can slide back over to the wing. I don't have to run the point anymore. But thank you guys so much for joining us once again on the Combine.
The Combine is a BAMM Network production.